Recording in progress.
Let's go ahead and bring to order our District Board of Health meeting for Thursday, December 14th, 2023. And if we could have a determination of quorum. And
Yes,
please
Chair.
read the fun information we get to read as well.
Yes, Chair. Oh my gosh, there's no page. Chair Dare,
Here.
Vice Chair Reese,
Here.
Commissioner Garcia. Here. Dr. Denko is absent at the moment. Michael Brown,
Here.
Dr. Clacking,
Here.
and Dr. Novak will be absent. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you.
And for all those with public comment, all public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. It should be addressed to the Board of Health as a whole, not an individual. With the exception of the public comment agenda items, comments will be heard for items labeled for possible action and should be specific to the item being considered by the board. The District Board of Health conducts the business of Washoe County and its citizens during its meetings. The presiding officer may order the removal of any person whose statement or other conduct disrupts the orderly, efficient, or safe conduct of the meeting. Warnings against disruptive comments or behavior may or may not be given prior to removal. The viewpoint of a speaker will not be restricted, but reasonable restrictions may be imposed upon the time, place, and manner of speech. Irrelevant and unduly repetitious statements and personal attacks which antagonize or incite others are examples of speech that may be reasonably limited. If you are logged on to Zoom, we ask that you join through the zoom.us platform and utilize the raise hand feature during any public comment period. And to provide public comment via telephone, only press *9 and *6 to mute and unmute. Reasonable efforts will be made to hear all public comment during the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. And if we could just please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Brown, would you? Yes. Lead us. Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We're on to item 3, approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any possible questions or things they want to move around? We have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
First and second. Any more conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Dr. Clacking, you good?
Yes, sorry. Yes.
It's all good. Okay, we're moving on to recognitions and new hires. We have a few things going on. Mr. Dick.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to begin with recognizing a new hire that we have within my office in our communications group, Noah Glick. And if I could ask Scott Oxford to introduce Mr. Glick.
That's who I'm getting emails from. Thought you changed your name, Scott, there for a minute.
No. For the record, Scott Oxford, Communications Manager here at NNPH. We did a thorough search, had over 90 applicants for our media and communication support specialist, and we were very happy to select Noah Glick. He's been jumping right in, as you saw in the media reports he sends out every day. Really just been very impressed with how well he's jumped in. So we're really happy to have him. Say anything?
For the record, Noah Glick, just happy to be here. Thanks so much, everyone.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Jennifer Mendez-Lemus, Public Health Nurse 2 in CCHS, and Ms. Lotritz is going to introduce her.
Good afternoon. Sorry. Good afternoon, Lisa Lotritz, Division Director for Community and Clinical Health Services. For the record, I would like to welcome Jennifer. She has joined our tuberculosis program as a public health nurse. Jennifer is a Reno native where she graduated from Orvis School of Nursing, and she began her nursing career at Carson Tahoe Regional Medical Center as a floor nurse. on the telemetry unit. She then moved to the Las Vegas area in 2016 and began her career working for a nonprofit as a nurse manager for Volunteers in Medicine of Southern Nevada, serving low-income and uninsured patients. After that, she worked for the Southern Nevada Health District, overseeing 2 of their community health programs, which included the Tuberculosis Treatment and Control Clinic and their refugee health program. So her knowledge is going to be so beneficial for our TB program here. Jennifer's nursing experience also includes working for the state of Nevada as a health facilities inspector, investigating allegations of patient abuse and neglect, along with ensuring compliance of federal regulations by medical facilities in Nevada. So welcome. We're so excited to have her.
Welcome. You came up from the dark side to the northern. I did too, I understand. So welcome. Well, very good.
All right. Next, I'd like to announce a couple of resignations that we've had. Saba Wubi from the Air Quality Management Division has resigned effective the end of October, and the beginning of November, Tammy Carpitcher resigned from Administrative Health Services. We do have a couple of transfers. We have both transfers into Administrative Health Services. Rachel Cord, Account Clerk 2, from being an FCO over at the Human Services Agency. So Rachel's not able to be here today, but we're glad to have her back. She was a former Health District staff person. And Rachel Ladd, who is joining AHS as an office specialist, transferring from a medical biller position that she had in our CCHS division. So congratulations to both of them. Also have a number of reclassifications from a community health aide to clinical assistance, effective October 9th for Elizabeth Munoz, Nancy Ramirez Pardita, Alejandra Rosales Garcia, and Janet Jorda, all in CCHS. And also Lauren Huntsman from storekeeper to clinical procurement coordinator in CCHS. So congratulations to all of those staff. They're not here with us today. But next I'm going to move on to the health heroes. And well, is Lauren here? Lauren Huntsman? It's here. I've got her on health heroes to be here, but let me start with Scott Oxford. Scott is recognized for the values of adaptability, trustworthiness, and collaboration. So congratulations to Scott. Wave your hand. Scott's in the back now. Also being recognized with Health Heroes Award is Lauren Huntsman for adaptability and collaboration. We're recognizing Maricruz Schaefer. Maricruz, are you here? Okay. Have some staff marked that aren't here. So she recognized for adaptability, trustworthiness, and compassion. And we have Maricel Martinez Avila, who's not able to be here today, who has 2 recognitions for adaptability, trustworthiness, and compassion. And then we have honorable mentions to Dawn Edwards in CCHS, Susie Deller in CCHS, and Lori Griffey in Administrative Health Services. And so that concludes our recognitions for today. And I'm going to move out to the podium because we have a proclamation today.
Wonderful. We have the National Radon Action Month proclamation, and I know Christine Kelly, if this is going to be for you.
Kelly, come up and join me. Craig Peterson. All right, you named me. Moving around today. Whereas the great state of Nevada, known for its natural beauty and diverse landscapes, is home to a unique geological feature, an abundance of surface uranium, making it the leading state in the United States with this natural resource. And whereas uranium is harnessed for various beneficial uses, including nuclear energy production, medical applications, and scientific research. Whereas it is crucial to recognize that while uranium has beneficial applications, it also poses potential dangers when it naturally breaks down into radon gas, a colorless, odorless, naturally occurring radioactive gas that can endanger the health and well-being of our residents. Whereas radon gas occurs naturally when uranium breaks down, silently seeping into homes of our residents, and whereas it has come to our attention that many Nevada residents remain unaware of the hidden danger lurking within their homes, known as radon, a colorless, odorless, naturally occurring radioactive gas, which stands as the primary cause of lung cancer among non-smokers and the second leading cause of lung cancer in smokers. And whereas the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency estimates that approximately 21,000 people in the United States tragically lose their lives each year due to lung cancer caused by indoor radon exposure. Astonishingly, lung and bronchus cancer claim more lives each year than any other form of cancer. Whereas lung cancer, impacting more women than breast cancer, poses a high risk to Nevadans compared to the national average. Whereas it is a fact that 1 in 4 homes in Nevada contains elevated levels of radon. Remarkably, any home in Nevada could harbor elevated radon levels even when neighboring homes do not. Living in a home with an average radon level of 4 picocuries per liter of air poses a risk comparable to smoking half a pack of cigarettes a day. Whereas it is the right of homebuyers to know the radon level of any home they consider purchasing. Whereas the importance of radon testing cannot be overstated, as it is the sole means to determine whether a home contains elevated radon levels. This testing is not only easy and free, but also opens the door to potential mitigation efforts that can make homes safer. Whereas the University of Nevada, Reno's Extension's Nevada Radon Education Program and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency stand firmly in support of initiatives aimed at motivating all Nevada residents to act by testing their homes for radon, mitigating elevated radon levels, and promoting new construction with radon-reducing materials and features. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the District Board of Health does hereby proclaim January 2024 as National Radon Action Month, adopted this 14th day of December, 2023.
Thank you.
And with that, I will turn over the podium to Ms. Kelly and Mr. Peterson, and I will trot up there to grab the certificate for the proclamation for them.
Thank you so much for reading that. That was a lot. Thank you. I appreciate it. Some new information has just come to light about testing for radon in Nevada that I wanted to share. Nevada is a non-regulatory state. So all of the testing that we do is voluntary, and people only know that they need to test through a public education. And we are 14th in the United States in testing for radon. So our work is impactful, it's important, and it's, you know, proclamations and meetings like this where we can really get the word out. And so I really appreciate your willingness to let me be here once a year.
Very good.
For the record, Craig Peterson, Supervisor in Air Quality. So as Christine said, this is a gas that, well, actually the proclamation said, that is the second leading cause of lung cancer next to smoking. So it is a pollutant that we don't monitor for in the Air Quality Management Division. So we only monitor for the 6 criteria pollutants as established by EPA. So it is very important that citizens in the community go out and test this on their own so they know if the levels in their homes are safe. So thank you very much, Christine. And with that.
Very good. Is that time? Huh? Oh, yeah, we move to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You get to keep your proclamation today.
Aye.
I don't know. Do you have a photographer?
Scott.
Good on my end. Thank you. All right, and smile, yeah. Thank you. Oh, sure.
Here, keep it, kid. All right. 3, 2, 1. Actually, one more, hold on. Okay. I guess I can do this one. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Got it.
Mr. Chair, before we get into the next item, I had missed the opportunity to just comment on Mr. Glick's hiring. I've watched Mr. Glick's news reporting for probably the better part of 10 years, and I'm really proud that he's chosen to work with Northern Nevada Public Health. So, Mr. Glick, welcome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for the shout out. Okay, we're on to public comment. And do we have any public comment?
Yes, Chair, we have some registered public comment. To begin with, we have 2 emails that I provided to the board recently, one from Mr. Byron Collins and another one from all of the EHS seniors, which is a division of the Northern Nevada Public Health.
Thank you.
And with that, we continue with the regular public comment, and we have Miss Tammy Holtstill, followed by Scott Finley.
Good afternoon, Tammy Holt still for the record. I live in Lemon Valley. I have been before many of you individually and also received responses from some of you individually, but we have a community health issue that needs to be addressed by this board, by the SWS board to fix the situation we have out there in Lemon Valley. We have people that are getting sick because of the discharges from the city of Reno and Washoe County into a public playa. Part of that effluent in that public playa is high in cauliflower, which I have the evidence of. It's also high in E. coli, high in arsenic. And we've had people sick from arsenic. We have cancer clusters starting out there now also. And it is time for the health board and Washoe County and the city of Reno to start managing the situation that they created. It is your processes, your plants that have created the situation we have before us. Medical waste comes from the effluent that is discharged to that lake. You have 2 different processing plants there, one that's doing C, one that's doing A. A is an okay thing, but I have proof that A, when the city of Reno approved to go dewater Swan Lake, ended up affecting another resident of Washoe County by making her family and her sick and her horses also. She lost 2 foals in the process. In the process of that, Washoe County, when she reported it, decided to take action against her on her 5013C. So at this time, I am very disappointed in the actions I have gotten back from certain people regarding a health issue. Swan Lake needs to be cleaned up. The time and effort and the money needs to be spent. I have spoken with Amadee's office. He's willing to work with the city and the county to get the funds to do so. It needs to be dewatered properly, cleaned up, scraped up. We have medical waste, PFAS, effluent or E. coli, cauliflower, arsenic. Those are all dangerous to everybody. And they need to be taken care of. That lake is full again. And if it floods, we already have issues of flooding from 2017. One lady has her horses having bacteria where it's attacking her horse's legs and eating the skin on the horse's legs. And that evidence has been submitted to Washoe County. I have not had it to dismiss or to submit to the city of Reno. But Washoe County knows about the issues at hand. The city of Reno knows about the issues at hand. I was nice enough to go to Sparks, so Sparks knows about it, but you are the board. You are the people that need to fix this. You need to find what it takes to do so. And we're going to keep harping on you until you do. Thank you.
Mr. Scott Finley, followed by Mia Zeb. Sure. Mia Zeb, followed by Olivia Alexander Leader.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Over the last 4 months, many employees affected by the Corn Ferry implementation, including myself, have tried to reach out and express our concerns through the proper channels to try and have these inequities corrected, including working with our own HR rep, who has been kind and supportive of our efforts, and even tried to warn Washoe County HR of this compression issue in July prior to the implementation. It is a last resort to come to the board, as we know how valuable your time is, but we feel like we've run out of options. The policy that affected many newer employees in EHS was the compression of employees that fell below the new range minimum by bringing them up to the bottom of the new range. EHS trainees were all below this range. New employees were given a 5.3% increase to meet the bottom of the range, and employees with over 1 year of experience who had completed training and probation were given a 0.3% increase of $0.11. Our 5% merit above the base wage that we earned on our 1 year anniversary was effectively erased. Some of the new employees who received the higher increase have now reached their 1 year date and are making 5% more than employees who had their year anniversary before Corn Ferry. How is it justified to pay an employee, in my case, with almost 2 years of experience, the minimum wage that Corn Ferry determined was appropriate pay for a brand new employee? When we inquired about how this could happen and requested adjustments to fix this issue, we were given vague responses by county HR that did not acknowledge these inequities and did not adequately explain the decisions behind the denial. We were given answers such as, we had to pick a date for the rollout and there was no way to avoid some people getting a better deal out of it, or you've already received an increase and are not eligible for another one, referring to our 11-cent 0.3% increase. And we were given no opportunity to ask additional questions. The WCA put forth the only equitable solution to keep all employees where they are in their current pay range and move them to the new pay range to keep the integrity of the current pay structure, and it was shut down without further explanation or discussion. One of the benefits for working for the county is the rigid pay and merit structure based on years of service. How can Corn Ferry rollout policies impact employees differently based on the date of implementation or when an individual was hired? There's no equity in this, and it goes against the intent of the current pay and merit structure. Because of these issues in our department, we have multiple instances of employees who have been here for more time making significantly less than newer employees. Some of us have now been promoted to EHS specialists, and there are currently 6 employees in the same position, EHS specialists in their first year, that have no special circumstances, and 4 different pay rates for these employees. This problem directly stems from the implementation of Corn Ferry. This has led to confusion, frustration, and mistrust that is negatively affecting our work culture. These issues could have been solved months ago if HR leadership had decided to acknowledge our concerns instead of ignoring them and telling us there's no solution. In order to move forward, we're asking that adjustments are made to correct these inequities and that the board can restore and protect the integrity of our merit system and pay structure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Olivia Alexander Leader, followed by Ian Check.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Olivia Alexander Leader, and I'm a registered environmental health specialist with the Environmental Health Services Division here at NNPH. I'm one of the employees that has been affected by the wage compression issues caused by the Corn Ferry study implementation. I was hired in August of 2021 and received a 5% merit increase in August of 2022. When the new Corn Ferry wages took effect in August of 2023, my hourly wage was brought to the new minimum hourly wage for my position, which effectively erased my 1 year merit increase. I am now paid less than a coworker who was hired a year after me, whose hiring committee I sat on and whose training I facilitated. I am also paid less than a coworker who was hired only 3 months before me because they received a discretionary adjustment and I did not. I'm standing here in partnership with my coworkers after months of attempting to go through the proper channels without receiving a clear answer or genuine consideration. No one has taken the responsibility as the appropriate party to discuss with or the party to make a meaningful change. The responses that we have received have left us feeling demoralized, belittled, and frustrated. I'm proud of the work that I've contributed to NNPH, and I deserve to be compensated commensurate with the value and time that I've dedicated to my division, which is compensation that I already earned and which was negated by the Korn Ferry adjustments. I'm here today not just to raise a concern about my compensation, but to ensure that I and employees following me come to work feeling professionally valued, knowing that our work is recognized and that our compensation system is equitable and consistent. I'm asking that you please dedicate the time and attention to rectifying this issue and restoring equity to the pay structure at NNPH. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ian Check, followed by Aaron Myers.
Dear members of the board, my name is Ian Check, and I am a registered environmental health specialist with the EHS division here at Northern Nevada Public Health. I also am one of the REHSs who has been negatively impacted by the rollout of Korn Ferry. I began working here in April of 2022 as an REHS trainee, and after putting in 16 months of hard work and several months of studying to take the test early, I passed and was later rewarded by watching new employees who I helped train for many hours jump me in pay by almost $2 an hour. We have brought this problem to the attention of several individuals of leadership, HR, and management that have resulted in receiving confusing and vague emails and sentiments like, "We too are concerned," but that they don't have the authority to fix the issue. At what point does concern become action? We've had county HR pointing at NNPH leadership and NNPH leadership pointing back at county HR. We need a resolution on who has the authority to fix this issue, since everyone seems to agree that the inequities are glaring. The county pays individuals on a structured pay scale, yet there are 6 newly credentialed REHS employees earning 4 different wages, all of whom got their promotion in the same year. EHS does not get paid differently than any other part of the county, as we all fall under the same HR and have the same county code as every other county employee. The Washoe County Personnel Handbook, Section 5.123, subsection 2 states, "A special salary adjustment within the range may be approved by the Director of Human Resources or designee in order to correct existing salary inequities." We still do not understand why our inequities are not being addressed. This issue affects the lowest paid individuals in the county. Please hear us when we tell you that it is affecting multiple individuals in EHS, but also the rest of the county, creating a negative work environment. We feel unsupported and unvalued by management due to lack of response to this issue. It is making it very difficult to serve our community with the skill and experience we have gained over the last few years when our pay does not reflect those steps above the base salary. The bigger picture is this inequity will cause me to personally miss out on $15,110.40 over the next 6 years until I max out with that my coworkers who have been in the same position as me for less time will receive. I think that it would upset any one of you as well if you were in our shoes. We are not asking for additional compensation that we have already not earned. We are asking for the board to hear our concerns with major pay inequities and the lack of leadership support or action to have these inequities fixed. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Ms. Erin Myers, followed by Kristen DeBraga.
Good afternoon. My name is Erin Myers, and I'm a registered environmental health specialist with EHS. I am speaking today on behalf of 5 valued coworkers. The implementation of Korn Ferry has created compensation issues and wage inequities that frankly make no sense. It is my understanding that the study was completed to analyze current compensation data to ensure county positions are in line with national trends in government and private industry. Based off of these findings, the bottom salary of trainee positions was raised, and everyone currently at the salary base received a 5.33% increase, while those with a year of service only received a 0.33% increase. I have heard HR iterate that employees who received the 0.33% increase are unlucky. We are not playing wage roulette, and this is a gross understatement regarding the impact this has on employee morale, finances, and faith in a management structure that cannot compensate individuals equitably after working in a stressful and demanding job for over a year. I do not feel lucky for making more money than my coworkers who started a year before me and who helped train me. I am benefiting from a wage increase deemed appropriate based on research completed by Korn Ferry. We all deserve the same increase. As environmental health specialists, we dedicate our time, energy, skills, and expertise to serving members of our community by promoting public health in a myriad of ways. Working in a regulatory field is often a grueling and thankless job. It is imperative that upper management and HR support us to minimize burnout and frustration in a position that is inherently taxing. There are higher paying jobs in private industry, but we have all chosen to give back to our community by promoting and protecting public health. When employees do not feel heard and valued, they often leave to find employment elsewhere. This has been the case in environmental health for several years. When essential organizations like public health are short-staffed, the entire community suffers. Is this not the very reason a Korn Ferry study was conducted? To ensure that Washoe County and Northern Nevada Public Health have a competitive wage and benefit package that will incentivize current employees to stay and others to apply. I ask that you explore the compression issue and wage inequity Korn Ferry has caused and the negative impact it has on all employees. This is not a complicated issue to remedy. 5 individuals are asking for a wage that reflects their merit after 1 year of service and the same increase that all other trainees received from Korn Ferry after working for less than a year. We are not talking about an adjustment that will bankrupt NMPH. We are asking that 5 irreplaceable employees get the hourly increase they have earned and deserve. The lack of meaningful time and attention to this issue is perplexing. It is unacceptable to attribute an erroneous wage inequity to, quote, bad luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Ms. Kristen DeBraga, followed by Mike Tui.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Kristen DeBraga, and I'm a senior environmental health specialist. In addition to the pay inequities due to the Korn Ferry rollout, we are seeing an increasing number of health permits for food establishments, schools, hotels, special events, and more with no additional staffing. The growth of Washoe County is undeniable, and we are charged with making sure these establishments and events are safe and meet health codes, but we are not getting the resources needed to do this. As a result, we are seeing burnout and higher than normal turnover rates. It typically takes over 2 years of technical training and resources, as well as the passing of a credentialing exam, to be fully trained as an environmental health specialist. We can't afford high turnover rates. Senior environmental health staff are being given supervisory responsibilities on top of an already heavy workload with no explanation of how these extra tasks are to be handled. We've been denied a request to have our new job duties evaluated by the JEC. Additionally, the duties of our current supervisors blend very closely with our new proposed duties, creating confusion and further inequities. We were told by management that if we don't want to supervise, we can demote. For some background, the seniors oversee EHS programs, which are critical to the health and safety of Washoe County residents and visitors. We spend time in the field conducting inspections, training staff, working with operators. Our current supervisors don't get to spend as much time on these activities because they don't have time. With our added duties, I worry we won't have time to do them either. We will be losing valuable field staff when we're already shorthanded. The seniors serve an important role as coaches and as someone to go to for advice and guidance before approaching a supervisor. This is especially important with the number of newer staff we have. This type of relationship will likely disappear with our new duties. If giving seniors supervisory responsibilities is to address span of control issues, there are other ways to do this that will have less of a negative impact on staff. Shifting us around and increasing job duties does not solve the staffing issues our division is experiencing. On this topic, you should be aware that our most experienced EHS supervisor, who has worked in every EHS program over the last 25 years and was instrumental in the COVID response for the health district, is being required to only supervise 3 clerical staff. No REHS staff. Why not keep him supervising REHS staff so he can share his institutional knowledge and experience with people that actually need it? We can't afford to waste this resource. The morale in our division has been very poor. People are upset, and rightfully so. Regulatory roles are stressful by nature. These issues are causing additional undue stress on staff, which is causing a ripple effect.
I want you all to know that we want to work with management to come to a solution that's best for our agency and for the people we serve. So far, that hasn't happened, and that's why we're here. Without staff that feel supported by this organization, the people we serve will likely suffer. We want this division to improve. Please make these pay, duty, and workload inequities right.
Thank you.
Mr. Mike Tui, followed by Luke Franklin.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, I just want to thank my team for stepping up to the plate and talking, because I know it's not easy. We even have more people that express that they don't feel comfortable speaking because they're fearful for their job, their family, those kind of things. So I just want to make it clear that anybody that has a problem should feel comfortable talking to you guys. I think that's really important for you guys to hear that. So you heard a little bit about the turnover and burnout. I'm one of the main trainers for the food program when people on board. Just in the last 2 years, we've hired 15 inspectors, and we have a total position of 22 positions. So as you can see, we're just churning through people and spending a lot of time hiring and training. So a lot of our time and resources is going to that. To back up a little bit about the job duties with the senior. So we found out about this decision back in February. Seniors were sent an invite for a meeting at 3 p.m. for the very next morning. The only information we were given was that there were going to be changes to our position. As you can imagine, this created fear and angst among the team. We approached our director at the time to try to have some information so we could come in prepared to ask questions. She claimed that she had no more information than we did. So I find that very hard to believe. The team themselves were asking questions like they didn't know if they were getting laid off, demoted, promoted. Just not a really good way to handle the team. After the meeting, we sent a letter to leadership expressing some of the issues we had. We had just been working on that ever since. So after we started to see the changes in our job, we did request a job evaluation committee hearing. Our employment contract allows anytime there's permanent changes in duties to get that hearing. We were hoping to have like a neutral third party look at these changes and see if they needed to be, if we need to be compensated differently for adding more complex, more responsibilities to our job duties. We were denied that request. And then a couple months ago, our current management met with us and basically held open one of our new inspector spots and said, hey, if you guys don't want to take this job, you could demote down into that. So having that kind of thought process is just not a good way to build morale and make us feel valued as employees. And just so you know, this is a team that we won the National Crumbine Award. We've won the Washoe Impact Award. We're always asked to present at national conferences due to our expertise and excellence. So, I mean, this is just a really tough situation for a lot of people. In conclusion, this has been just befuddling and demoralizing, and we hope the board helps us out and meets with us and we find a solution for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Luke Franklin, followed by Jim English.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Luke Franklin. I'm a senior registered environmental health specialist and run the solid waste program and underground storage tank program for the county. There have been numerous times as supervisor positions become available to interview for, but I've chosen not to sit for it as I do not have the desire to be a supervisor. I prefer dealing with the daily public workings of my operations and being in the public. When we first heard of the Corn Ferry, most of us thought we'd be seeing an increase in pay. But management have attempted to roll in a change in senior duties tied to the Corn Ferry rollout. Seniors and supervisors were sent a vague email indicating there was a mandatory meeting and that we were all going to get through this together. In the meeting in February of this year, Kevin noted with HR and Aaron's support that he wanted to increase the senior role to include doing evaluations and other supervisor duties without increasing our pay. I asked why, and he indicated that this would fix a span of control issue. I asked numerous times how seniors doing evaluations and time cards fixes a span of control issue, and no one has had an answer because it doesn't fix it. Seniors and supervisors have met with Aaron and Rob many times on alternatives to fix this perceived span of control issue, like hiring another supervisor and splitting out the food plan team from the other team, but they indicate Kevin doesn't want to do this, even though it would probably help fix the issue. The senior position was never meant to do evaluations and time cards. Those are supervisory duties. Korn Ferry evaluated the senior job based on an old existing description, and they rolled out a new pay structure. After the results were published, Aaron directed Jim to rewrite the description in July of 2023 to include supervisory duties. Again, all staff input was against this desire. Senior staff approached Aaron about the change in duties and said that Korn Ferry evaluated an old job description, and now that the senior job description had changed, we wanted a reevaluation by Korn Ferry. Aaron said no. We then approached HR and they said no as well, and we requested a JEC review, and again, we're told no. I want to be clear that no one is for this reevaluation, but if Kevin wants seniors to do evaluations, leave requests and time cards, then we should be paid for it. In a meeting with Rob and senior staff, he told us that Kevin wants senior staff to do evaluations, time cards, and leave approvals. And if any of us didn't want to do it, then there was a demotional opportunity available for us. It was a really nice gesture, but no one took it. Frustrated seniors and supervisors have tried to work with Aaron and Rob to work with alternative solutions and have been told no. We've reached out to HR and even County Manager Brown to see what we could do to fight back against such monumental shift in duties and responsibilities without being paid, and have been told that they can't help with any decision that Kevin or Rob makes. Most of in this room are aware that Kevin will be retiring from his position in a few months, and today I'm requesting that you step in and halt this decision for senior RHS staff to take on supervisory duties like time cards, evaluations, and leave requests until Kevin is gone and a new health officer has been hired and can further evaluate the shift from senior to supervisory type duties for senior staff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Jim English, followed by Mr. West Rubio.
So I understand you've been provided a graph. Good afternoon, District Board of Health members. My name is Jim English. As you have heard today, it has become apparent the board and the community need to understand the decisions being made at NNPH related to environmental health services are negatively impacting staff and may negatively impact the community at large in the future. I would like to commend the other speakers on their strength and willingness to address this board. There were others who wanted to speak, but truly fear the retribution they would receive if they came down today. In my 25+ year career here at Washington County Health District, Northern Nevada Public Health, I have never witnessed the current level of poor morale or lack of leadership at the health district for the staff within EHS. Some of the issues are related to the lack of health leadership support during the Korn Ferry process. In the summer of 2022, Washington County HR asked if we wanted any EHS positions reviewed. It was determined the answer was no. In fall, we learned the senior job classification at EHS was being reviewed. Divisional leadership questioned if staff went directly to HR to request the Korn Ferry review, stating they were unsure why the positions were being evaluated. On February 3rd, 2023, management of EHS and air quality learned the request of the position was review was at the request of the health officer, and a unilateral decision was made moving forward that the senior job classification would directly supervise field staff. Many questions have been asked to why. Why was the decision made to remove staff from the field and into supervisory roles who don't want the duties or responsibilities? Why does EHS need a supervisory position rate to increase by 140% while reducing staffing levels by approximately 20%? What is the difference between the senior and supervisor job classifications going forward? Who is going to do the tasks the seniors do now? To this day, no clear logical answers have been provided. So we are before this board to ask, who is going to do the day-to-day field work in EHS? If it's an evaluation issue, I ask you. I've been a supervisor 10 years and should have had 13 evaluations. I've had 4. For the past 5 years, EHS has been unable to meet the inspection requirements and state mandates. 5 years. You can't blame that on COVID. As noted in the graph provided, permits are going up and staff resources are not keeping pace. Additionally, current EHS supervisors are required to manage programs, budgets, and staff, along with dealing with day-to-day citizen interactions. And now we supervise frontline supervisors. This is a first. We are called program managers on a daily basis, yet when we approach NNPH leadership, after the decision was made to have senior supervise about supporting a job evaluation or position reclassification, we were quickly told this will not happen. Yet health leadership has no problem going through this process when it serves them and their agendas. Now EHS is one of the most complex divisions at NNPH with some of the lowest overall paid job classifications and pay ranges in management. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Mr. West Rubio, followed by Amber English. Chair, just for the record, I want to note that Vice Chair Reese left the meeting at 1:45 p.m.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. For the record, my name is Wes Rubio. I'm here in support of our staff that has spoken and those that cannot be here today, and to address the issues that we are currently facing in the future for our staff. Understand this is not our first conversation, and we have had discussions with HR, county leadership, WCA, and others prior to coming to this board. Our staff are highly educated, require specific degrees, pass a standardized examination as part of their employment. This is a position that many take to be part of public health and work within our community to make Washoe County a great place to live. Our staff willingly put themselves out in the public and are under an extreme amount of mental stress and pressure to complete their tasks, especially in today's world where it has become commonplace to verbally assault, demean, challenge, and intimidate public health professionals working in the field whose goals are the health and safety of the residents and visitors to Washoe County. Leadership in the Northern Nevada Public Health have not tried to engage our staff and address the issues that have been presented. Basic pay disparities with staff drive wedges and wounds that are not easily healed when they have been ignored. Leadership required the senior RHS position to take a supervisory role, increasing the supervisory structure from EHS or in EHS from 5 supervisors to 12. That's a 140% increase in supervisory staff and a loss of field capabilities due to the increased demand for the seniors as supervisors. This has been a concern within EHS and has been required to be implemented against the seniors and supervisors' advice. This requirement is affecting our division, creating staffing issues within programs, not only for seniors, but the trickle down of additional work to field staff with no clear direction on how this is beneficial. Leadership has not addressed supervisory's group concerns regarding the programmatic demands, responsibilities, and duties within our job classification to be equitable with other classifications that were adjusted. Supervisors manage multiple programs, budgets, staff resources, and demands resulting from numerous programs, as well as working with our regional partners. EHS is an integral part of this community, reviewing development and construction for the region, focusing on the public health and safety for residents and visitors of Washoe County. Without appropriate staffing levels, EHS will not be able to continue to provide the support and dedication to the development and construction within the region. NNPH leadership has not engaged in meaningful conversations with EHS regarding these items and creating a workplace culture that is not productive and facilitating a lack of trust with our leadership. For a health department that wants to highlight diversity, equity, and inclusion, the leadership in NNPH has neither included EHS staff nor worked on equitable solutions to the issues we have presented. This has created deep wounds, trust issues, and lack of morale with our staff. Our staff are more than just people who can be replaced due to a lack of engagement by our leadership. Our staff are our friends, our coworkers, and they're representatives of the community we work for and strive to keep safe through our work. NNPH has failed the staff that are represented here and created an increasingly negative work environment for our new staff, existing staff, and those yet to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Ms. Amber English, followed by Brenda Schneider.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Amber English, Environmental Health Services Supervisor. As a supervisor in this division, I'm here today not just to express my own concerns, but as a voice echoing the concerns and the needs of the brave individuals you've heard from today. Our staff members are the backbone of the health and safety system in this district. They are the unrecognized heroes who work in the face of challenges because their job is hard, as you've heard from many of them today. They do this to ensure the health and safety of our community. They are a team of progressive, talented, and driven professionals, and I'm so proud of their dedication and commitment to public health. The work they do is reported to every month in the divisional reports. They are the ones who get to work before 6 a.m. to load the helicopter that will apply mosquito larvicide to prevent disease in our community. They are the ones that spend countless hours working with school and daycare providers to ensure our kids are safe and healthy when they go to school and daycares. They're the ones that ensure you have safe water to drink and clean air to breathe. They are the ones that stepped out of their role as EHS professionals to sacrifice time away from their families to work 50-hour weeks to administer COVID-19 tests and vaccines to our community. And they are the ones that have been nationally recognized for their outstanding efforts to ensure safe food is served in our community. But they're also people They're not just valued employees, they are people. They're good people. Despite feeling the strain and heavy workload, poor morale, and taxing situations they deal with on a daily basis, they still come to work every day. They laugh with their coworkers, they decorate the office for the holidays, and they try their best to stay positive. However, I'm extremely concerned that we will continue to lose these valuable employees if we cannot find a resolution to the concerns that have been brought to you today. I'm a 19-year employee of the Health District, and I have been in a leadership role in this division for over 10 years. During my career, I have worked under a total of 4 health officers and 5 division directors. I have seen significant change within our organization over the years, both positive and negative, but I have never felt as disheartened and demoralized as I feel standing here today due to the lack of employee support and an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. I would like to echo what others have said and reiterate that speaking here today is a last resort, as we, even at the supervisory level, have exhausted all other avenues to gain answers and clarity to the situation.
Up next, we have Brenda Schneider.
I don't think she's
I wasn't done, but that's.
Sorry, go
That's
ahead.
all right. I hope that you will consider these concerns seriously. We are respectfully asking for support, sufficient staffing levels and workloads, transparent communication with the opportunity for open dialogue and mutual respect and understanding. And finally, we do realize that we've provided a lot of information to you today. You may have received some data, but we do have additional data supporting these concerns if you're interested. Thank you.
Sorry, Amber. Up next, we have Brenda Schneider, followed by Jesse Latcho.
Right. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. My name is Brendan Schneider. I'm a senior air quality specialist. And I'll be representing myself and a colleague who couldn't be here today, Janine Rosa, also a senior air quality specialist during this public comment period. First, I want to thank the other public commenters regarding their work in trying to address the issues NNPH staff has been facing with this year. I was promoted to senior air quality specialist in September of 2022 after being an air quality specialist for 10 years and a public health intern a year before that. Personally, I've been thankful throughout the years and how NNPH in the county has addressed reorganizations, pay discrepancies, and other inequities until recently with the change to senior staff job descriptions to include supervisory duties without a change in title, class, or pay. The updated senior job description, which was updated May of this year, replaced provide lead direction with may exercise direct supervision and added may supervise throughout the job specification, and this somehow justifies an entire reorganization of our division, making the seniors the direct supervisor for environmental engineers, specialists, and trainees, and our current supervisors more in a program management role. There are seniors who never had the intention of supervising people, but rather enjoyed being a subject matter expert and being in a lead role for a program. And their only choice now is to get on board or demote if when a position becomes available. We're talking about employees who have been here for about 10 years. We're hoping for a more transparent path forward in which specialists, seniors, and supervisors can join in the process to make the situation fair and equitable for all staff. Currently, AQMD seniors are scheduled to supervise staff beginning in January. Some of the staff we will be supervising are at the same class as the seniors. This creates an environment without incentive to retain and promote. Why take on additional job duties if there is no change in title or pay? I was taught early in my career that I shouldn't just bring problems up, but without solutions. So I bring you simple solutions to the problem. Current seniors should be called and paid as supervisors because they will be supervising. Current supervisors should be called and paid as program managers because they will be managing programs. And the trainee to senior job classification should be a progressive promotion. I come before you because this appears to be our last chance at improving the situation. You all have the ability to direct a better path forward, and I hope you act. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Jesse Latcho, followed by Scott Finley.
Members of the board, chair. My name is Jessie Latcha, and I'm currently environmental health specialist trainee within EHS division here at Northern Nevada Public Health. I am here today to support all my fellow colleagues recently been brought into these conversations. But most importantly, I want to give you an even broader perspective on pay inequities within the health district. My previous job in the health department was as a public health emergency response coordinator under EPHP for 3 years. I left that job a year ago and took a voluntary demotion, as well as a large pay cut to be an REHS trainee, mostly in part due to poor management and oversight of staff. But besides that, I feel that you all should be aware of the job duties in my previous position, which was well over $108,000 now. had no supervisory duties, were far less than the duties I have in my current position. As an environmental health specialist trainee, this is an entry-level position. However, I can attest to the fact that this position is far from entry-level. Not only do you need a college degree with basic credits just in environmental health, you need to have an REHS exam within 2 years or you will be let go, and you must pass that exam. You also have to deal with the public, and not only that, but know multiple sets of regulations, be able to write effective reports, which become public health documents. You must also be a well-spoken individual with many different personalities in the field. As you can imagine, we do shut down facilities. You must have de-escalation skills as well, which is not something that's typically an entry-level position. Along with these responsibilities, not only am I training trainees as a trainee, I am also part of the construction plan review team, which also requires yet another set of knowledge, as well as plan review for new buildings. I do have a regulatory background, so that gives me a little bit of a head up. I've been in the industry for regulatory for at least 10 years. A lot of our new people do not have that background, and they might not feel so comfortable shutting people down or talking about regulations that they're not comfortable with. I do love my career, but I do feel that staff retention should be the goal of you guys, and these issues are not going to go away anytime soon if we don't make changes. However, we are also going to lose staff, valuable staff that we put multiple hours in time training. Because of this rollout of Korn Ferry merit increases, it was the ineffective rollout of that. And the complexity of our job and workload itself is just too much for some of these new hires. They are young. I hope that you hear what everyone is saying and really take a look at EHS job responsibilities, pay, our workload, and the impact our department has on the overall health and well-being of all residents in Washoe County.
Thank you.
Up next is Mr. Scott Finley.
Please enter my comment and these documents into the record pursuant to NRS 241. My name is Scott Finley. I am a resident of Washoe County and have a military background in the financial management and comptroller career field of the United States Air Force. The definition of jingoism is an attitude of belligerent nationalism or a blind adherence to the rightness or virtue of one's own nation, society, or group, simply because it's one's own. Synonyms for jingoism include bigotry, intolerance, xenophobia, racism, sexism, prejudice, ignorance, narrow-mindedness, and mindlessness. Racism and jingoism are semantically related to such a degree that in some cases you could use the term racist in place of jingoist. I would argue that if the sum and substance of your argument is to call someone else a racist, then you have no argument at all, and your name might be Devin Reese. This Northern Nevada Public Health Board meeting violates Article 3 of your rules, policies, and procedures. This board is a public body and must comply with the laws of Nevada regarding public and open meetings, including NRS 241. In addition, it violates the order of business as item 3 on the agenda should be public comment. Pursuant to NRS 241.020, except in an emergency, written notice of all meetings must be given at least 3 working days before the meeting. The notice must include a list of the locations where the supporting material is available to the public or information about how the supporting material may be found on the internet website of the public body. The actual agenda PDF with links to each agenda items attachment file was posted roughly 24 hours ago rather than 3 working days as required by statute. So what was the emergency justification for you giving your constituents less than 24-hour notice? This gave people like me virtually no time to read the content of agenda items being voted on. In addition, the agenda PDF states that requests for public comment via Zoom must be submitted by email no later than 4 p.m. on the day before the scheduled meeting. You've effectively banned Zoom attendees from being able to provide public comment at this public meeting. For these reasons, if the Northern Nevada Public Health Board does not adjourn this meeting immediately, I will be filing an open meeting law complaint with the Nevada Attorney General's office. Do not waste my time. your time or the AG's time because his office can pull the exact date and time that the agenda PDF for this meeting became accessible. Thank you.
No additional registered public comment.
Sorry?
No additional comment.
Thank you. Okay. We are now moving on to our consent items. And do we have any that would like to be polled, looked at, talked about, or do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items.
I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? They pass unanimously. Going on to number 8, presentation of the One Water Nevada project presented by John Enlow, Director of Natural Resources. This is just a report and explanation to us what's going on. Thank you, John, for being here.
So do you have the presentation? Great, thank you. So I can advance it from here. Great.
You are in control.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, board members. My name is John Enlow. I'm the Director of Natural Resources for Truckee Meadows Water Authority. I'm here today just to give you an informational item on the Tumwas and the City of Reno's Advanced Purified Water Facility project at American Flat. So thank you for having me here today.
I'm going to pull that microphone up a little bit. I just want to make sure
Okay.
people on Zoom hear you well. Thank you.
It's not advancing. Please. So the Advanced Purified Water Project is an effort that started about a decade or so ago. In 2015, Governor Sandoval held a drought forum throughout the state, and a request for regulations for advanced purified water was one of the action items that came out of that effort. So advanced purified water is wastewater that is treated to, I will say, much better than drinking water standards, since treated effluent is the source water for that. These regulations were adopted in 2016 by NDEP. You may also have heard of this as indirect potable reuse. What that means is there's an environmental buffer between the treatment steps and potential use as a potable water supply. So in Nevada's case, the environmental buffer is groundwater augmentation. So you may ask, why are we here in front of you? The regulations imposed actually had a requirement that the applicant seek the local Board of Health support of the proposed use of indirect potable reuse. So Tumwa and the City of Reno are working through this process. And so this is just one step of many in that process that we're going through. So this is really our first step at educating you as the Board of Health. The water quality requirements for category A+ water are extremely stringent. The minimum requirements are meeting federal primary and secondary drinking water standards. There's also a requirement for 12-log inactivation of viruses and 10-log reduction in activation of Giardia and Cryptosporidium. On top of that, there are literally hundreds of unregulated constituents that pose potential health risks. These include PFAS, as I'm sure you're aware of in the news most recently, many pharmaceuticals that are present at very low levels in the effluent, personal care products, and so forth. These unregulated constituents, there's really a national effort on this to identify health guidance levels. And so it's really kind of a moving target, the way the regulation was written. It's very flexible. So if new constituents of concern are brought up, that these regulations can
basically enforce those and require higher levels of treatment. And PFAS is really one of those regulations. When we started this effort, our treatment process as is addressed PFAS adequately. With the new proposed regulations, we've added an additional treatment step. So very flexible, very protective of public health. And as I stated before, these regulations require an environmental buffer. So recharge to the groundwater table to provide additional attenuation and natural treatment. TUMWA and the city of Reno conducted numerous pilot studies during the 2017 through 2020 time period. This treatment process is somewhat unique in the industry because it uses a carbon biological approach where the majority of the contaminants are degraded rather than filtered out and removed from the water. We had a small pilot system located up in the Reno Stead Water Reclamation Facility instead that we operated for over a year. We injected this received a permit from DEP and injected this water into the groundwater table at that site and monitored it over a 6-week period. The results of this pilot study were extremely favorable. All of the water quality regulations and objectives were met, and that's really what's given us the confidence to move forward with a full-scale project. I wanted to talk just briefly about our process, which is this carbon-based and biological process versus a membrane reverse osmosis type of process. California primarily has really advanced this RO, reverse osmosis type treatment technology. But one of the shortcomings of that is that process tends to concentrate what's ever in the water into a waste stream, and then they discharge that waste stream to the ocean, similar to desalination process. So really the city of Reno and others in this area have been investigating this biological process since as early as 2008, so almost 15 years. And it does not create a concentrated waste stream. Rather, the wastes are predominantly biodegraded. Some go back to the wastewater treatment plant where they're kind of accumulated in the waste sludge of the process. And others are captured in an activated carbon system, and then that material would be disposed of according to strict regulations. So the American Flat project is really Nevada's first large-scale Category A+ project. 2 million gallons a day really is it's really pretty small compared to the total usage of this community. For example, an average day in the summer, we're using 100 million gallons a day or more. So it's a small amount of water, but this really is a proof of concept where we're proving it up at the Reno Stead facility, and it could be applied to other facilities in the area in the future. So it doesn't come cheap. All these processes and facilities are extremely expensive. We're looking at a $200 million effort jointly funded by TUMWA and the city of Reno. We've conducted years of aquifer investigations and hydrogeologic investigations, making sure that we don't contaminate or degrade the aquifer when we recharge it. And this isn't something that's going to be implemented overnight. There's really a long-term phased approach to this project. This just gives you a little more information on the different treatment technologies. We're basically starting with the finished water product at Reno Stead and then applying a number of advanced treatment processes to meet all of these stringent water quality requirements. The heart of the process is the middle line there, where it's ozone with biological filtration. The ozone is added to help break down the organic constituents that are in the water, and it allows the biology which grows in the filter to degrade and consume those organics. Following that, there's a polishing facility with granular activated carbon that removes most of the residual organic material within there. And that number 10 is the treatment process that we just added recently. It's a selective media to remove PFAS. So the PFAS would be contained within that media and disposed of according to regulatory requirements. UV disinfection is a huge part of this process. It's very effective at inactivating both Giardia and Cryptosporidium. And then we would recharge the water into the groundwater at a location north of the Stead Airport, where it would ultimately be withdrawn initially for irrigation, or long-term plans are for potable use. Just to let you know that this hasn't been Tumwa and Reno working in a vacuum for the last 15 years. We've had a lot of support from the University of Nevada. Dr. Krishna Pagila has been extremely helpful. The people you see on the bottom are an independent panel of professionals with varying areas of expertise, from engineering to hydrogeology to public health professionals, public communication outreach professionals, and so forth, that have been involved with us since the inception of the regulations in 2016. We've actually been undertaking a fairly aggressive public outreach and education program. We've held a series of public workshops and informational meetings starting this summer. We're continuing to hold these public meetings. Dr. Lydia Teal, who you see in the upper photo there, she's actually been interviewed, and that interview was on NPR radio. We went with Ariana Bennett a month or two ago on Face the State, and thought that was a good informative interview for the public. And so the outreach process is really an ongoing process that we will continue for several years. Just to give you an idea of the time frame, like I said, this isn't going to happen overnight. We're very early on this timeline. We're just completing the 30% engineering phase. We're in just initial permitting discussions with NDEP. As I stated, District Board of Health support of this concept is one of the things that they would like to see in a permit application that we submit. Construction wouldn't start until late 24, early 25. Initially, we would use the water for irrigation out on the American Flat Farm, making sure that it meets all the water quality requirements before we ever get a permit to recharge that water underground. And once that water is recharged, initially we would pull it out and use it for irrigation on the farm, just to confirm that all of the water quality requirements have been satisfied. So like I said, it's a long-term process. We're just at the start of this journey. 2030 kind of time frame is when we might be able to utilize this water for potable purposes. A lot of work to go through between now and then, but you'll hear a lot more about it over the next several years. So that's all I have for the presentation today. Don't know if I have time for questions, but I'd be happy to answer any if you have them.
We do, and I just really quick want to say I really encouraged John and Tumwa to be here for all clairvoyance. I am also the chair of Tumwa, and so with that said, just let that be known. But I think it's important as this continues to walk forward that we look at this as an investment into, when I'm not even in office anymore, you know, the future of what happens. And we don't know. There's so many unknowns when it comes to, is it going to snow as much as it does now, and how it's going to happen? And you understand the TROA agreement and how the river works. There's always unknowns of the future. So for us as a community, this becomes imperative that we really look at all options, and this is one of them. But I want to open up to questions, please.
Thank you,
Ms.
Mr.
Garcia.
Chair. Thank you so much for the presentation. hearing more and more about this project and the goals and the timeline as it's happening. So good job on the outreach and communication. I pulled up your website because I was curious about the funding. City of Reno and Tumwa jointly fund this project. I didn't see anything listed on the website itself about how those resources come together for this. But I also noticed a little discrepancy between the steps in the purification process. And you said item number 10 for the PFAS absorption was just recently added.
Right.
Okay, I'm seeing on the website, so
It doesn't
pretty
sh-
recent.
Doesn't show
Yeah.
that yet? Okay, we'll
All
make
right.
that change.
Yeah, so if you could just address and just broad strokes funding for this.
So jointly funded by City of Reno and Tumwa, Reno is paying for 70% of the construction cost. Tumwa is paying for 30%. We will share the operation and maintenance costs 50-50 between the two of us. We've made a number of applications for grant funding. We just turned in an application to the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation Title 16 program for up to $30 million that we'd be eligible for. We've received $3 million from EPA. There's some other smaller contributions that have been made toward the project. And one of the other unique aspects of this is if we can use this water for potable purposes in the future, 2,000 acre feet of, it really is new water and new water rights will be produced by this project. Those have a pretty significant value that will also help offset the construction cost of this.
Question on the acreage, I understand the water rights side of it. How many acres are you actually utilizing out in American Flats?
So the farm itself, and I think it's about 450 acres or so for the total farm. And that was established initially to help dewater Swan Lake when it was flooded. That use has since ceased. We're keeping the irrigation active. City of Reno has a contract with the farmer out there. We've been supplying them with local groundwater just to keep him active. There were some concerns that some of the public raised earlier with some of the constituents in Swan Lake. When we became aware of that too, we ceased irrigation using that water. So we're going to use that site, like I said, in the testing of this advanced purified water. Before we recharge it into the ground, we'll irrigate with it just to help utilize the treated effluent. And then once we're fully confident we meet all the water quality requirements, then we could put that water underground, pull it up again, irrigate with it again, making sure that there weren't any changes to the water quality while it's underground. We've actually got a number of contracts with Desert Research Institute that have been evaluating the geochemistry and so forth. So we're pretty confident that we know what to expect when we put the water into the ground.
Dr. Klecky, and I know you're online. Do you have any questions? You good?
No, I'm fine right now. That was good.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I think my last point I would just make to everybody is we're actually going to be going on a field trip for some of the people from here to go learn more, some of the staff and some of us as board. And we'll be heading on a day trip down in California. And this is happening all over the place because of particular future needs. So, but thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, we are moving on to, what am I on now? 9, presentation on the Air Quality Management Division's PM10 Exceptional Event Demonstration Project. Come on up. Matt McCarthy.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. My name is Matt McCarthy. For the record, I'm an environmental engineer within the planning team of the Air Quality Management Division. I'm here to give a presentation on a recently completed project, the PM10 Exceptional Event Demonstration Project. So as a quick reminder, PM10 is a criteria air pollutant and is defined as particulate matter that is 10 micrometers and smaller. So this information-only presentation has the goal of communicating the work that AQMD does to mitigate wildfire impacts and keep our area in attainment with the national ambient air quality standards. So just to start with a little bit of context, in the air quality world, an exceptional event is an unusual or naturally occurring event that negatively affects air quality. These events are not controllable using traditional emission control techniques. And the main exceptional event that our region deals with would be smoke that's transported from wildfires. Our Air Quality Management Division cannot reasonably control air quality that is affected by wildfires, especially ones outside of our jurisdiction. Under the federal exceptional events rule, air quality data can be excluded from regulatory consideration if the data can be linked back to an exceptional event. This avoids imposing more restrictions on communities that were not the cause of poor air quality. One important thing to note about this process is that in order for an exceptional event demonstration to be approved by EPA, an agency must have plans in place to mitigate the health impacts to the community caused by that exceptional event. We currently have 2 mitigation plans in place to limit public health impacts caused by wildfires. So why is this important right now? We're required to submit our second 10-year PM10 maintenance plan next year. As part of this submittal, we must prove that the Truckee Meadows maintenance area, which is shown in blue on this map, is not violating the PM10 National Ambient Air Quality Standard. Unfortunately, due to wildfires in 2021 and 2022, all 3 PM10 monitors in the maintenance area are violating. The exceptional event demonstrations are a series of technical reports that demonstrate in a legally defendable way that wildfires caused the exceedances of the PM10 standards in 2021 and 2022. Legally defendable is the key phrase in that sentence. EPA needs to be able to defend their decision to concur or not to concur in court if they're challenged. This makes the burden of proof very high to get these demonstrations accepted by EPA. So this slide shows the timeline of this project. It really exemplifies how long exceptional events such as wildfires can impact our program. The wildfires started in July of 2021 and may not be excluded from regulatory consideration until 2026. It also shows how long the drafting of these demonstrations take. We started in February of this year and are only now finishing up. So I want to give a quick summary on the fires that caused these air quality issues. On the map, you can see each fire perimeter in relation to our region. There were 5 different fires that caused the exceedances in 2021 and 2022. The Dixie Fire, the Calder Fire, the Tamarack Fire, the Antelope Fire, and the Mosquito Fire. During the time prior to or during these poor air quality events, over 700,000 acres of land was burned. This translates to almost 400,000 tons of PM10 emissions during that time. For comparison and a little bit of reference, this is almost 55 times the PM10 that our county emits in an entire year. These 5 fires caused 15 days of PM10 air quality exceedances in 2021 and 2022. Those 15 days are the days of data that we're requesting to exclude. It's important to note that this data won't be invalidated, deleted, or wiped from the record, just excluded from regulatory decision-making. So now I want to speak on some of the technical aspects of these reports. This slide describes our strategy for proving that the wildfires caused our PM10 exceedances. As I mentioned previously, EPA needs to be able to defend their decision in court, making the weight of evidence very important. The strongest evidence included in the demonstration would be statistical methods. This uses our monitoring data, which has gone through rigorous quality control and quality assurance programs. Next, we included weather data. This method was used to help paint the picture for EPA of how the wildfire smoke ended up in our region. And lastly, we included observational data. Although not as strong of evidence as the other methods, it's important to include so that EPA knows that we went through the proper mitigation plan procedures. So this is an example of a form of statistical evidence that was used in these reports. This is called a diurnal pattern. The idea is to track each hour of the exceedance day and compare it to what our region has experienced in past summers that don't have wildfire smoke. You can see that each hour of the exceedance is in red. The lines closer to the bottom of the graph denote the air quality that we would expect to see on a typical smoke-free summer day. As you can see in this specific example, the red line is much higher than what we'd expect, in some hours up to 10 times higher than what we'd expect. This type of analysis is really important because we need to not only prove that the wildfires caused the poor air quality events, but that without those fires, we would have been below the PM10 National Ambient Air Quality Standard. Another example of the statistical analysis that we completed is a particulate matter to carbon monoxide ratio. So it's been proven that particulate matter and carbon monoxide concentrations are positively correlated in urban areas under the presence of wildfire smoke. So what we did is we found a correlation coefficient denoted as R squared for each exceedance day and compared it to a non-event day that didn't have wildfire smoke. And R squared closer to 1 shows a higher correlation. As you can see in this specific graph, this wildfire day is much more correlated than the non-event day, proving that wildfire smoke is what caused our PM10 issues that day. So for weather data, one type of analysis we use is pollution roses. As you can see on the map, a pollution rose combines air quality concentrations, wind direction, and wind speed onto one map to show which direction the pollution came from. So you can see on this specific map, a vast majority of it came from our south and from the west. Another method we use, and one of my favorites, is trajectory analysis. We use a software to model where the air originated from that caused the poor air quality. We also tracked forward from the fire to prove where the smoke would have ended up. This model uses historical weather data to track air movements, and it draws a direct line between the fires in our region. So lastly, we use observational data to help prove our case. This includes satellite imagery, social media posts, and health district press releases. This paints the picture of the smoke impacts our community experienced on the ground during the fires. It also proves to EPA that we followed our mitigation plan by notifying the public of the poor air quality event. So all of this previously mentioned data and analysis was completed for every day and every monitoring site that experienced a PM10 exceedance. As you can expect, this required a lot of resources to complete. This presentation is meant to paint a picture of the amount of work that can be required to be completed when we have exceptional events such as wildfires that severely impact our air quality. This project has taken over 400 hours of staff time to complete and includes 559 pages of documentation. We continue to work with EPA to try and find a better solution and streamline this process and possibly share the resource burden more with EPA. We are confident that EPA will concur with this analysis in the demonstration and keep our PM10 designation as attainment. If EPA were not to concur, AQMD would be required to enforce emissions reductions on citizens and industry, and economic development would likely be impacted. The stakes are pretty high, I will admit, but like I said, we're very confident that EPA will agree with our analysis. One thing to note towards the end of my presentation here is that this process isn't a get out of jail free card. Our residents still experience adverse health impacts during these events, and this process is not something that AQMD can complete any time that our region is in jeopardy of being designated non-attainment. In this scenario, we felt confident that we could prove that the wildfires, that without wildfires, our PM10 levels would have been below the air quality standards. This would be much less likely if the pollutant of concern were ozone, since our current ozone levels are much closer to the air quality standard. So with that, that's the end of my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
I have a couple of questions. Go ahead. First, excellent, very comprehensive presentation there. This is Dr. Clacking. When do you expect to hear back from the EPA? How long do you think this process will take before you get some positive feedback, or just feedback? Let's call it.
That's a great question. Thank you for that question. Let me look here in my notes. So this is done concurrently with our PM10 maintenance plan. EPA will be required to make a formal action on that plan January of 2026. So we expect to submit this plan within the next couple months and likely not hear back for many years.
Yeah, Dr. Clacking, government moves very fast, if you didn't know that.
Yeah.
You had another question?
Just to follow up on that, what are the possible outcomes of their analysis? Is it black or white, or is there other possibilities?
It's kind of hard to say for sure what they do. Generally, it's you're in attainment or you're not in attainment. So it is fairly black and white. But we expect that if there's any issues with the analysis we present to be in contact with them and figure out what extra evidence they need.
Have you been in contact with any other counties that have went through a similar process in the past?
Yes, definitely. We take part in a working group that is across multiple jurisdictions. This is something that, especially with the recent wildfires, seems like almost everyone is doing. I will say Clark County also was doing a PM10 exceptional event, and they also completed an ozone exceptional event within the past couple of years that was not concurred with. So we've been in contact with them, and then also in contact with people across the country at different conferences and whatnot. We also have had, this isn't the first time we've done exceptional events. We did have exceptional events concurred with, so they were successful in 2015 and 2016. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Sure thing.
Thank you. The one thing I would say is, I know for a fact what happens when these kind of things happen. We would have to put in a plan of motion, and they would approve that or not approve that, but we would have to show that we're working on this if we ever hit those problems. That's what other jurisdictions do. That's typically what's there. Obviously, the egregious of level of what we've done or not done would determine their reaction, but typically they would give us the option to do that. But thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Okay. We are going to move on to review and discussion of approval business impact statements. And I'm going to go ahead and just let people know on number 12, our succession planning, just for sake of time, we're going to go ahead and push that to our next meeting to give us a little leeway, because we don't want to be here that long.
Good afternoon. For the record, Erin Dixon with Northern Nevada Public Health. I'm here to do the brief introduction before I turn it over to the division directors on the business impact statements and the fees that we are moving forward. I'd like to give you a brief history of the health, air quality management, and EHS fees. Just as a reminder, these are the only two divisions fees that we are currently looking at. In 2015, under direction of the District Board of Health, we revamped our fees and changed our methodology. We were provided direction to look at cost recovery. And so we did. We changed our methodology, and that's a methodology we still use today. The Board of Health passed the fees, and the first fees were implemented on July 1 of 2016. As part of that board item, we included an annual CPI increase on an annual basis that would start every July 1. So that's taking the Consumer Price Index, the West region. I am happy to announce there are a number of other jurisdictions who have followed our lead on this. In July of 2023, I do want to remind you that we kept, under your direction, we kept our fees at 2022 levels. We did not increase based on CPI. We had every intention of coming back to you after 5 years and addressing new fees and looking at the revamping of our fees, and that was not possible due to COVID. So under 2022 and 2023, staff were completing time studies, analysis of expenditures, and really getting ready for our fee change. Our methodology, as I stated, is continued from 2015. It includes staff time, the actual staff time, staff due to time studies for its inspections, the drive time, the documentation. However, we do know that that is not all the costs that go into an inspection. We have staff earn leave time, there are administrative tasks that need to be done, there's required training to ensure that our staff are skilled and at the level they need to be at, and that is all calculated into our fees as well. Each program, so both air quality and environmental health services, has a program expense, and those are the things that are vehicles, our operating supplies, our technology, that also are cost of doing business. We do also have indirect costs. These are not calculated as part of this process, but are calculated through a consultant that comes in annually and looks at our office space, our electricity, a lot of the charges that we are charged based on from Washoe County. And so those are included. Our fees are rounded to the nearest dollar, except for our late fees, and those are rounded to the nearest quarter. And we are proposing that the fees would be updated annually through the Western Region CPI. So when we started taking a look at changing our fees, we did a lot of outreach. Air Quality and EHS conducted outreach to many groups. We got the word out with press releases. Emails were sent to over 14,000 people from the emails that we did have. We also sent out 4,000 postcards for those we didn't have emails for. We tried very hard to get feedback. We held 3 workshops. They were held at both in the evening and during the day. They were available via Zoom and in person, and we had on-site translation services for Spanish speakers available as well. We also had an online survey available for individuals to provide any feedback if they could come to the meetings or they could not. So I have to give kudos to our staff because they really did try to get as much feedback as possible. You will see the analysis. We did not get an overwhelming amount of feedback. And before I hand it over, I just want to give you the timeline for our proposed fees changes. While we held the workshops, we had the feedback and the survey available. We are presenting to you today our business impact survey or statement. We are not presenting for you to vote on the fees, but this is the first step in the process in voting on the business impact statement. In January, the fees will come before you, and that's when you have the decision on whether you approve the fees, if you want any adjustments. Our recommendation, you have the right to change that, is that if new fees are approved, that they would go into effect on July 1 of 2024. All right. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Rob Fida. And the clicker is working.
For the record, Robert Fida, Environmental Health Division Director. So I'm going to kind of go over the fees at a high level. I'll open it up for questions at the end for any specific questions. And so a quick summary of the changes. You'll see in your packet a copy of the redlined fees. And the general themes are essentially that there is a decrease in the developmental fees. There's a reduction in our subdivision fees, the tentative map and final map fees. Those are going down due to increased staff efficiencies. And we're also removing some of the vector fees from developmental phase. Developmental phase tends to be a little more high-level review. We are keeping the vector fees at the construction phase. So this is where the catch basins and are kind of constructed during this phase, and that's kind of where we will keep our oversight. The other big lift has been the food fees. We're moving from a kind of a, I guess, categorical model into a risk-based model. Currently, the permits are designed into kind of delis, restaurants, bakeries. which may not reflect actual food handling practices. So staff recommended we move to a risk-based model, which will actually capture the amount of risk that the facility poses in terms of their food handling operations, and will allow inspectors appropriate time to kind of work with those facilities. And then we're also revamping some of our temporary food fees. A lot of these fees, a lot of our temporary food establishments get multiple inspections. They get one for every event they attend. So some food establishment vendors will receive maybe 10 inspections if they're very active in the food establishment realm. And oftentimes they'll serve the same menu and have the same setup. And so we're kind of proposing a few new fees in order to kind of eliminate some of that workload for our staff, and to kind of help some of our vendors too in terms of projecting cost and whatnot. And the last thing is just kind of some cleanup of some of the fees as well. So here's the essentially the big changes. So we're introducing an event organizer permit for temporary food events. This permit is designed to kind of appoint a point of contact for any on-site infrastructure. A lot of the legwork in temporary food events is kind of the prep. Our staff need to get an idea of the scope, what kind of infrastructure is available, is potable water, wastewater, solid waste management, are all those components there, and in order to ensure a successful event. And so the event organizer is designated a point of contact for our staff, as well as for any vendors operating at that event. And then the next one is the annual itinerant permit. Now this allows a food vendor to operate at multiple temporary food events, and this will kind of cap their inspections. So they are limited to having the same menu. They need to have slightly higher level equipment, but they will be capped at 4 inspections per year for high risk, and I believe 2 or 3 for low risk vendors. And so they will be able to go through multiple events, but they will only be inspected 4 times, and their fee will be reflective of that instead of paying for every event. And lastly is the food establishment risk levels. So you'll see there's 4 categories of risk level 1, 2, 3, and then we did a special carve out for school kitchens. Risk level 1s and 2s, those will receive 1 inspection per year. And the difference is essentially how much open food handling they have. And the risk levels are defined in our regulations. You can go in there and it actually defines and gives examples of some different risk level types. And then risk level 3s will actually receive 2 inspections per year. These are our high risk facilities. They do bulk, cool, chill prep type operations. And then lastly, school kitchens, they are considered a risk level 2, but they require 2 inspections a year. And the reason for the 2 inspections is I believe there's federal funding attached to the school lunch program that requires 2 inspections per year. So we were able to save some costs on some of the permit fees. Our risk level 1s and 2s won't see too much of a dramatic increase. And the way we were able to do that is re-inspections were initially built into the fees. We've kind of pulled that out, and we're only assessing re-inspections on those who need it. And so that way, re-inspections will be just charged on an as-needed basis. The annual itinerant permit, as discussed, this will cover 1 annual permit and a max of 4 inspections. So this allows, this will save us some staff resources in order to inspect our repeat food vendors, and as well as help some of our temporary food vendors in terms of projecting their cost on how much these events cost, or how much this events permitting fees with their events. And then the risk-based inspections. We are going to a risk-based method. Ideally, the idea was that no 2 restaurants are the same. You can have someone kind of reheating food and then someone making stuff from scratch, cooking. And so ideally, we want to kind of bring it based on a risk level in this case. Ice cream truck is not the same as a food truck, but they might be classified as a mobile vendor, but the risk is a lot different. And so these risk-based inspections, they will be gauged by the inspector or plan review people when they initially review the plans and discuss with the operator their kind of menu and process. The risk categories are fluid. It'll depend on menu and food handling. Inspectors on the field will kind of assess the risk level during their annual inspections. And the nice thing about risk-based inspections is it's benefit to public health. You can address food safety risk factors. It allows more time for inspectors with higher risk facilities to kind of address any issues or work through potential areas of concern. So, and the public health impact is that we're going to be streamlining kind of special event infrastructure. So ideally, we want our special events for our staff to be kind of seamless for the vendor and for our staff working together. So that's where we're streamlining it. And then also with a risk-based inspection model, we're looking for a reduction in the occurrence of foodborne illness. This model is promoted by EPA and is a good standard. So we're hoping to see an overall reduction in foodborne illness in the community.
I have a question on that.
Oh, yes.
So two things that
Mhm.
you mentioned on there. One is with the school inspections, federal funding, they need two.
Their school kitchens need 2
Yeah, school
inspections per
kit-
year, yes.
Do we do any kind of work, if there's federal mandated stuff, sometimes there's federal grants attached to it?
Mhm.
Have we ever tried to work with school districts, just in lieu of what we know we received from the school district, to try to look at any kind of grant funding for that second inspection?
I don't know of any grant funding for inspection services. Usually it's more public health dollars dedicated to programs or health outcomes.
Just something I'd throw out there. If they're requiring it, sometimes there's funding for it. If it's based upon a larger thing. The other question I had on the risk,
Mhm.
one of my concerns
Mhm.
is I like things that come down and make sure they're not arbitrary based
Mhm.
upon a staff member having a good or bad day.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any of our staff would ever do that, but they're human. So I don't like that. I want things that come back and they're very clear that you have a fryer, you have a this, you have a this, you're this risk. Is that how that's set up? Or is it, you mentioned it's fluid, which that word scares me, just being.
Well, it depends. You know, restaurants don't have the same menu. So depending on what they're preparing and how they're preparing, I guess the easiest way is, let's say you have a Mexican restaurant and they're preparing a large batch of rice or beans for tomorrow's service. That would be a risk level category 3. You're doing large bulk prep, you're cooling it, and then you're going to put it away for storage for the night. Then you're going to bring it out, you're going to reheat it, and you're going to service it for the next day.
My hope for you, my only direction, I just say
Oh.
my encouragement on this conversation as we talk is I just think it's important that there's some real oversight on that. Please.
If I could just make a comment on that. I think the word fluid is really more reflective of the risk level may change at a facility depending on how their menu changes and what they're doing to prepare food.
That's fair.
But I think it's very objective, the determination based on what their menu is and how they're preparing food, what their risk level is. That's not subjective.
Yeah.
The fluidity is how the operations at a restaurant or a food establishment may change. That would change what the risk level is of the establishment.
Kevin is correct. The risk levels are defined. There are certain processes that are already kind of outlined
Thank
in
you.
those risk levels.
The word fluid got me. I'm better now.
All right, then I will pass it on to Francisco to discuss air quality.
I'm sorry.
One more
discussed-
follow-up. I'm
Yeah.
so
Oh, sorry.
sorry.
No, you're good.
Thank you. The outreach is obviously extensive, the press release, mailer, workshops, online survey. I was looking through the comments submitted on the online survey and a lot of them were anonymous. But you guys took the feedback that you received. I did get kind of jarred when I saw the increase, and I know we're not here to talk about the actual rates today. We'll revisit that in January, but for the school district with 100 buildings, I imagine, different school kitchens, and it can really add up when you talk about the mandatory 2 visits per year. And so, I mean, was there, what kind of outreach was done to a large employer, a large, organization like the school district that doesn't have the benefit of collecting revenue from their clients?
I reached out to the school district. I kind of presented the fees as well as the analysis. A lot of this is based on time studies. Previously, I think the school inspections were budgeted at about an hour apiece, twice a year. Looking at the actual time studies, school inspections take about 2 hours instead of the 1 hour that was initially budgeted. And then with the school kitchen inspections, it went from about an hour to an hour 45 with the time study. And so roughly it's about double the time. And that's why the school district's kind of seeing their fees kind of substantially increase in this case. So.
We'll talk more in general.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Chair, members of the board, for the record, Francisco Vega, Director of the Air Quality Management Division. And I promise not to use the word fluid during my presentation.
That's a good idea.
I have a real just simple presentation. I just have the revised fees on the slide there. And I just like to go through some of these. Our fees are broken down by program. And you can see the first kind of box there is building plan review. And then the next box goes into stationary source applications, and that's where you're going to see the majority of the changes. I'll just add in general, the increases that you're seeing there are typically tied to, again, staff time in processing either the application or providing the service, and then an increased cost associated with that staff time. So salaries go up, indirect costs go up, things like that. So in general, kind of across the board, if there's an increase, that's generally why it's associated there. In the stationary source applications, and this is kind of a common theme throughout here, is we're trying to better align the fee with the service, and also making sure that our resources are tied to where there's a substantial risk. So our stationary source applications are broken out in between minor and major sources. In the minor part, there's very little change. One thing that we did want to do was break out minor modifications, or excuse me, modifications at minor sources. And the reason for that is that we need that critical information to understand whether or not we're getting additional new sources within Washoe County, or whether our current sources are expanding. That is really critical information from an air quality management resource perspective. So again, the fee is remaining the same, but having that understanding as far as, again, how many new sources versus our current sources expanding is really critical information for us. And so that's why you see that new green line under modification at minor source. Typically or historically that was captured in the new minor source fee. Where you are seeing significant changes within our application program is with major sources. And same thing, where we're trying to better align the service with the fee. Historically, anything that had to do with major sources was really wrapped into that new major source fee. So, for example, we currently only have one major source within Washoe County, and that's the Kinder Morgan tank farm out in Sparks. A couple years ago, they had to renew their permit. They had to pay that $41,000 fee. Now, renewing a permit is a lot simpler than issuing a new one. We recognize that, and that's why we're proposing that smaller fee for renewing a major source permit. Similarly, with a minor modification at a major source. I want to say a year and a half ago, and Councilman Dare, I know you're aware of this, they added a small tank to their facility. They had to pay that $41,000 again. Again, it was a pretty simple process, but because we didn't have that flexibility within our fee structure, again, we were really tied to that $41,000. Well, again, we understood that, we acknowledged that, and that's why we're proposing that $19,000 fee for a minor modification at a major source. Again, better aligning the service with the fee. The major modification, that is a significant process, and that's why we're keeping that at the same level as a new source. You can think of a major modification as really almost doubling your facility. So again, it is a significant change. And again, that's why we're proposing to keep that fee the same. We're also introducing the new PSD NSR source. And I know everybody hates acronyms, so PSD stands for Prevention of Significant Deterioration, and NSR stands for New Source Review. Think of these facilities as really large facilities, like utility scale power plant, a gold mine, chemical manufacturing. So again, really, really big sources, greater than 250 tons per year of emissions. We currently have 0 of these. And I'm currently not aware of any really planned sources like this within Washoe County. But nonetheless, we have been delegated authority by the EPA to issue the permit in the event we do get an application for one of these sources. So we do have to be prepared to process those. And again, it is an extensive process. We're talking 12 to 18 months. And that's why you see that $95,000 fee. And we didn't pull that out of the air, no pun intended. But we try to align ourselves with the state fee for similar sources. So again, that's where we pulled that from. Going on to the next category is annual emissions reporting. These fees are associated with annual or more frequent inspections of these facilities. So again, applications, those fees are for processing the permit. Annual emissions fees are for continued compliance assistance and inspections. And again, they are really further broken up into minor sources and major sources as well. No real significant changes for minor sources. We did do away with the small minor source fee. And the reason we did that is really the amount of times you are inspected is associated with your permit class, not your actual emissions. So that's why we did away with that fee. Not a really significant change, but again, in order to simplify things, again, we felt that it was appropriate to do that. Where you do see a significant increase, again, is with major sources. And again, making sure the fee is tied to the risk level. Major sources emit far more air pollutants. Thus, we have to inspect them way more because there's a greater risk. With the annual maintenance fee for a major source, again, going from $412 to $12,000, that is a significant increase. But I can tell you from our cost from last fiscal year, inspecting this facility where we take multiple staff was $26,000. So again, we're not making a profit. It's really just making sure that we are recovering our cost. And I forgot to mention before I brought this section up is that EPA requires that we assess appropriate fees to recover costs for these services. So again, it is a federal mandate that again, we assess these fees to recover our costs. And if for whatever reason, EPA feels like we're not doing our job, they can take our program away from us. And now we're dealing with the federal EPA. Okay.
You mentioned that on the 95,000 one that you compared it to other groups.
Yes.
Did you do that? Most of all this, is that part of the process? I'm assuming. I just want to.
Yeah, correct. So with all our fees, especially as it pertains to stationary sources, we compare ourselves to the state, Clark County, other jurisdictions across the country. And really what we found is, for example, our fees compared to the state are about 50%. Not all the way across the board, but in general, again, we're about 50% of the expense that the state is. And similarly with Clark County as well. So similar processes. So again, I think our business and industry in Washoe County is getting pretty good value for these services. The $19,000 going to $10,000 is confusing, and I'll take full responsibility for that. The $19,000 is actually a per pound. What's that? 19. Did I say 19,000? I meant 19. The $19 is a $19 per pound. So when you multiply that for the amount of pounds that facility emits, it actually turns out to be $10,000. So not real any kind of increase associated with that fee. And again, I probably could have communicated that better on the slide here. But one thing I'll add there is that I did reach out to Kinder Morgan, again, our one major source within Washoe County, and just said, hey, this is what we're proposing. Do you guys have any real major concerns, questions, comments, anything that we can address before we get to the board meeting? And they really didn't have anything at the time. And again, I'll continue to reach out and make sure that they feel this is appropriate. But again, I think they're understanding that these are pretty reasonable fees. I'll go through the rest of these pretty quickly. Again, no real major changes, only increases associated with staff time and increases in expenses. We are adding that dealer's affidavit of sale under the wood burning device program. The dealer affidavit of sale is any member in the community adds a wood burning device to their home. They have to get a building permit, but also they have to submit something to us. And what we do is we acknowledge and we review that device to make sure it is compliant with current EPA standards. So there is a little bit of review associated with that, not a lot, but again, we're making sure that any new wood burning devices that go into Washoe County are currently EPA compliant. So that's that dealer affidavit of the sale fee. The other new ones are confidentiality requests. We do process these requests. Companies from time to time will come to us and say, hey, we want to keep our proprietary processes confidential. There is an NRS that allows them to do that. They can submit that request to us. And again, that $758 fee there is for us to really process that request. It is fairly significant review. We have to make sure that they are complying with NRS, and then we turn around that approval. And again, that's pretty good value for confidentiality for some of these businesses to keep their processes proprietary. The other one was applicability determination. And this is actually a fee that was requested by EDON. From time to time, we get facilities or companies that want to relocate or locate in general to Washoe County, but they're not really sure if they need a permit. They can come to us with some initial information on who they are, what they're doing, what they're processing, things like that. And we will turn around an applicability determination for them that says, yes, you need a permit. No, you don't need a permit. In the event that the decision is that they do need a permit, that $1,500 fee would go towards offsetting any kind of application fee. So that is a service that we provide to that business and industry. The other part of that is that if they find out they don't need a permit, $1,500 is pretty cheap consulting fee. So again, pretty good value associated with that service there. The other thing I'll mention there is that small businesses can go to UNR Business Environmental Program to get that same determination. They don't have to come to us. That is a resource that is available to small business. This $1,500 is for larger companies that really don't qualify as small business. Okay. So I think that's all the changes to our fees. Any questions there before I move on?
I don't think so.
Okay. Commissioner Garcia, did you have something? Sorry.
No.
Okay. I also have some important news to provide here is that upcoming in the spring of 2024, we are going to be proposing a significant regulation revision to our stationary source program. And probably the biggest one of the biggest changes that we're going to be proposing is increasing our minimum threshold for permitting. So currently, we have a requirement to permit anything that emits greater than 2 pounds per day, which if you do the math equates to about less than 1 ton per year. With this regulation change, again, that we're going to be proposing in the spring, we're going to increase that threshold to 5 tons per year. And so again, that really eliminates a lot of small businesses. And really the analysis that we found was that these smaller businesses and emitters are not really having that large of an impact on air quality. We know and we recognize that we have minimum or a small amount of resources, and we really want to make sure that we're spending our time on those higher emitting sources that have that greater air quality impact. So again, trying to take some of those smaller businesses that don't emit very much and focus our resources on the higher emitters. So yeah.
Let it be said that there's a goal that government want less control. That's an amazing concept. Really, I mean that. That's very fantastic.
Yeah. So again, it's something that we're continuously evaluating internally within the Air Quality Management Division is, again, better understanding of what our resources are and are they being used in a valuable manner. So I wanted to mention that because I know there was a question, for example, school district. There is a possibility that some of the schools, their permit requirements would go away. So did want to mention that.
On that note, I have a feeling there's a conversation coming about that. Is there any way we would know? How soon can we know some of that about schools?
Whether or not they would be going away?
Yeah.
I think that analysis actually has probably already been done.
It'd be helpful to get some of that I have a feeling there's some conversations coming our way.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Chair. I keep bringing up the school district, but it's, out of this process, I just am curious how many public entities were also surveyed and asked about this. And it being such a large organization and having to come up with the funds that it's coming out of their general funds, which directly impacts teachers and classrooms in our region. And so I think it does it's important to take a moment to recognize that we're agendized to speak about whether or not this is a significant impact. And I think for somebody like the school district, a public entity, it is. And we received some public comment on that. And so I'm very supportive of this whole process, the outreach, the methodology, I understand it's been 8 years and it's over time, and we need to compensate ourselves for our time, energy, and effort to keep our community safe. But I'm just curious again, and if I'm stepping out of the realm of our agendized item today, if we could today ask or direct staff to engage with the school district again to see if there's some possibilities for possible exemptions or even like a delayed payment plan or something for them to get used to this. It's going to be a huge change, and I think it's going to hit a little differently for them.
I can say we officially cannot direct.
Yep.
I can give you that. But I can say I think they heard you clear, and it's a conversation that I'm interested in having, and it's one that we'll continue to have.
There's a comment that both our commissioner as well as our councilman made on grants. And a lot of grants have actually tied on to them like kind, meaning as far as a grant, there's a participation that has to come in from who the grantee is. And I just want to know how many of these actually have those participations to where you can use the like kind as possibly the fees that we're actually potentially putting on them in the future. And then help adjust that with that like kind, to see if we're actually in the ballpark with what's taking place on it. Because a lot of federal grants are associated with that. And I know like the smoke grants, fuels reduction grants and things like that, we used to utilize our permit fees as that like kind for our match that had to come up with it. So try to ease the burden on them.
Sounds good. Yeah, I don't think the conversation is over, and I think we've heard you loud and clear, and we will continue that conversation as well. Yeah.
We heard you not direct somebody. Thank you.
My kids hear that too.
Thank you. I'm reading Ms. Reed's mind over there.
The last thing is I did want to provide a summary of the business impact survey that we did send out that was mentioned by Aaron Dixon. So in total, we actually received 16 responses to the request for the surveys. Again, I want to reiterate, what was it, 14,000 emails, 4,000 postcards, and 16 was the number of the responses that we got. One was specific to air quality, 9 specific to environmental health, 5 which mentioned both air quality and environmental health. One that actually didn't identify either of us. So that was pretty interesting. And then, so obviously, I don't think you have to be a math major just to understand that 16 is not really a statistically significant sample size to really glean any kind of real information from. The other part of this is that we initially send out the survey where you could fill it out anonymously. So 13 of the 16 surveys were submitted anonymously. So once we made the requirement that you had to provide your name and kind of contact information, only 3 additional surveys were submitted. So I think that's important to understand. As I believe was mentioned previously, we did respond to every single comment that we received. Obviously, any comments that were received today, we didn't respond to, but we will make sure that we do so. And again, just kind of in general, some of the comments that we did receive. One addressed prescribed burn application requirements. Again, we're only proposing, I think, a $40 increase to the fee for prescribed burns. Those permits never expire. So again, I think we're providing a pretty good service there for the amount that we're proposing. There was another one regarding minor sources. And again, the fee really is tied to staff time associated with processing the application. So again, we're trying the best we can to recover our costs. For example, I'll just mention this, our minor sources, the fee is based on 12 hours of staff time. Processing a minor source application can take up to 3 months. So finding a good balance there is extremely difficult. So I just kind of want to mention that. But in general, again, we received a lot of those comments, this is going to make or break our business and things like that. And we heard those. One thing that we did offer up is that if this is a significant impact on your business and you submitted your comment anonymously, I think our contact information is included in the board packet, so please reach out to us and we will do what we can to help address your concern.
Thank you. Any questions? Thoughts? I want to thank our staff, both, I mean, you and your whole team. I know you guys work very diligently on it. I would say that the outreach, though it might seem like you didn't get a lot back, that's for them to respond or not to respond, that's on them. For us, we're doing our job. So I appreciate you doing your job and know that we hear you loud and clear that you did. So thank you. Appreciate it. John Clacking, do you have anything? Oh, yeah. And I think we have a comment. Okay, good. John, did you have something to say? I think you can hear but not talk. I heard you. You say we have public comment on this?
We have two public comment that was provided to the board ahead of time.
Uh,
One from Adam Searcy on behalf of the Washoe County School District, and then one from Mr. Peter Kruger on behalf of Nevada Petroleum Marketers and Convenience Store Association. And additionally, Mr. Kruger also would like to make a public comment during this meeting.
Floor is yours. Yeah, John might try to chime in, but
Well, in the interest of time,
hold on, let me put on my scarf for you. So.
Oh, good. In the interest of time, you ladies and gentlemen have been here a long time, and I'm not going to read my prepared remarks that you already have. I just want to highlight two areas. When it comes and I have talked to staff, they've been very open to me, and that will continue, and I'm thankful for that. You've got a great staff, and we don't always agree, but a great staff nonetheless. Two things on the UST fee. As you know, last year it went from $0 to $875. That's for gas stations for each or for the permit. And our members have worked through that and we're, living with it. I was a little troubled to learn today about, this was new to me, that you moved towards CPI going forward on permits, if I understand it correctly. Let me remind you that in 2004, the county went, and really RTC, went to gas prices or gas taxes, the index tax, to initially CPI, and then that wasn't quite enough money. So we went to PPI, which is the producer price index. So that happens automatically, as if I'm correct, this will happen automatically. So elected officials will have no input, or this way I understand this board won't have any input. I'm concerned about that going forward when it comes to the increasing costs with no real review. I mean, there is review, but there's no vote, public vote is my understanding. And then the last area I just wanted to mention was this area on how the, and this is again under the UST permits, in the proposal reflects $875, but then is the current fee, which is correct. And then it shows proposed at $1,574. I've talked to all the people, and I understand this is really not a fee increase. It's based on, excuse me, my words, of worst case scenario. But I think it needs to be clarified that if the county or the health board loses its state funding for this particular program, and depending on the amount of loss and all that, I guess if they've lost it all, then it's been projected that that fee would go from $875 to $1,574. Understand that, and I just think it needs some more clarification. So those are my remarks, and my written comments will stand as prepared. Thank you.
No additional comment, Chair.
Okay. With that said, this is not, this is for possible action. So any other comment, or do we have a motion to accept?
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move to approve the business impact statements regarding Northern Nevada Public Health Air Quality Management and Environmental Health proposed fees, with the finding that the proposed air quality management and environmental health fees do not impose a direct and significant economic burden on a business and do not directly restrict the formation, operation, or expansion of a business, and it set a public hearing for possible adoption of proposed fees for January 25th, 2024 at 1 p.m.
And I have a second?
Second that.
And I do want to, just discussion-wise, just throw out there that this is not the last bite of the apple of talking about this, so any of the board members that, any concerns you have. Mr. Clacking, do you have something you wanted to share?
No, I was just seconding that. Can you hear me okay?
I can. I
Okay,
can.
great.
We'll make you the third, because somebody else did as well, but
Thanks.
you're
No,
welcome.
fine with
All in
everything.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. So thank you very much. Okay, we are moving on. We have Mr. Barry Duplantis, Regional Emergency and Medical Services Authority. Come on down, Mr. Remsen.
Good afternoon, Chairman Dare, members of the board. I'm Barry Duplantis, CEO and President of REMSA for the record. I understand you have been provided with a copy of REMSA Health's October 2023 report. For the month of October and the fiscal year to date, REMSA has been fully compliant with its franchise requirements. As required in the franchise agreement, our audit of fiscal year 2023 is underway. It'll include the audit of our financial statements, our penalty fund account, and our average bill. That audit is in progress, and I had hoped to be able to present it to you today, but it'll likely arrive in our offices next week. So I think our commitment to the franchise is that we presented in January. So we will be doing that as committed. I'm also happy to advise you of two personnel items.
Hold on, because we're so tight on quorum, and I apologize for this, we definitely want to hear every word you have to say. But when Ms. Garcia gets back, we can continue. We lost quorum. So we're just gonna take a moment break. And I don't believe she left. All her stuff is right here. I think I have her keys, so. Okay. So let's take a 3-minute break real quick. Give everyone a chance, do what they gotta do, stretch out, and I'll get some hot water.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're bringing our meeting back into session. Barry, you were at,
Thank you, sir. So once again, for the record, my name is Barry Duplantis. Continuing in my discussion and my report to you for this month, I'm also happy to report on two personnel items that we're very excited to tell you about today. The first one is, as you know, healthcare costs around the nation are going up about 9%. At REMSA, we were able to renegotiate, or shall we say, negotiate a continuation with Cigna, our current healthcare provider, for a fee increase of 3% versus that national 9%. So we're very excited about that, and that will be for all of 2024. That said, as a company, we're able to pay that portion of increase, that 3%, on behalf of our employees. So our employees will not see an increase in healthcare costs in 2024. Means that their benefits, their copays, their doctors, everything will remain the same. So there's no change in the quality or quantity of services for which they will be able to access in 2024. The second exciting thing that I want to tell you about is that effective January 1, 2024, we have increased our 401k match from previously 4% up to 7%. So it means that our employees will be able to set aside as much as 14% of their wages towards their retirement. So we're very excited about the year that we've had, in the sense that we've been able to accomplish quite a bit of work. For
are
our
you
employees.
hiring? That's paying you, that's better than what he pays me. So that's actually very exciting.
Thank you very much. So that said, that concludes the highlights of my report, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you. I do want to celebrate you as you continue to take care of your employees. I know that that's going well. In the past, that was a big conversation of how all of that looked. And so it sounds like all that's going a lot better. Any questions, concerns, thoughts? Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here and going through our whole meeting with us.
I'll make a motion to accept the report as presented.
I got a first,
Second.
got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I think it was an aye. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to make sure where I'm at here. We're gonna go ahead and shelf 12 for next month. Go on to 13, recommendation to amend the employment agreement between Northern Nevada Public Health and Kevin Dick, District Health Officer. Section 5A, leave to allow for payment of unused vacation time upon separation of employment. And the floor is yours, Ms. Lori Griffey.
Hi, for the record, Lori Griffey, the HR rep for Northern Nevada Public Health. Today, we're seeking the board's approval for a minor adjustment to Mr. Dick's contract, just to add the words "and vacation." This will just make his contract the same as the previous health officers who were allowed to get paid for vacation when they retired and when they left. So quick and simple.
Any questions? With that said, I'm looking for a motion. I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to recommendation to approve the proposed 2024 Washoe County District Board of Health meeting calendar. Health Officer Kevin Dick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, you had the proposed meeting dates for 2024. So for January through October, we stuck with our regular schedule so that meetings would occur on the fourth Thursday of the month at 1 p.m. And then in November, we are proposing to hold our annual strategic planning retreat on Thursday, November 7th. And I think it's worked pretty well for us to have that in the morning. So that would be my proposal for that meeting. We then have a tentative meeting scheduled for Thursday, the 21st at 1 p.m. And we, for several years now, have just had a tentative meeting scheduled that we've been able to cancel so that we don't have two meetings during the month. And then for December, with leap year in 2024, it helps to move the third week further from Christmas. So we're proposing that we would have the meeting in the third week instead of the second week in December on December 19th. So that's the calendar that we're proposing and looking for approval today.
Well, my crystal ball doesn't go as far as the 19th of December yet. There might, but I think we can tentatively approve that. Any questions, concerns? With that said, I'm looking for a motion.
So move.
I have first, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass unanimously. Thank you so much. We're moving on now to our progress update on the District Health Officer National Search. And let me just kind of give you guys a couple notes of what's going on with that. Get to my notes. So we have hired Berkeley search consultants, and just for the record, people know, we voted for me to be able to go do that. So we have done that. We did meet with one other group. Truthfully, we put it out and there's not a lot of people interested in trying to help us find a health district officer. And so we went and found somebody that's very qualified and has the background of it. And I think we're pretty pleased with that. They have a lot of history and relationship with doing that particular niche of what they do. We are working closely with HR with Washoe County. And so that is something they're helping guide that. And so we've been having a lot of meetings with that. This week, the process of targeting candidates begins. One of the things I want to make sure just everyone knows, we want to live out very transparent in front of anybody with any questions you might have. You can always reach out to us. Our goal is to lay this out, and then really the ultimate goal is to have 3 candidates before us, before the board. And we're looking at March 28, 24. But in between that, we should have a brochure by the end of for recruitment by the end of this year. So that's in the next couple of weeks, we'll see a brochure come out of the group that actually has all of our information on there that really will go out. So the month of January will be our real recruiting mode of everybody once they come off vacation, trying to pull everybody in. I say we, that's the Berkeley group, not me. They're putting it all together, really hiring them, having them do what they do best. Well, the first wave of potentials by the 9th of February. With that said, there will be some ancillary meetings. One of the things we'll be very careful of making sure we don't have a walking quorum of any sort, making sure that we do things on that end. That is why you will only see 3 candidates in front of us, because the problem is at that point they have to disclose, and we won't get anybody interested if we disclose 8 to 10 potential health people that have to tell their job that they might leave. So we have to be real careful how we do it without messing with our open meeting law. And so we are following all the guides, the rules. I don't mind any questions our board might have, but with that said, we just trying to keep you up to date. Questions, concerns? I think it's going very well, so I'll say that. I thank Mr. Kevin Dick for joining me on each of these meetings as well. It's been very, very helpful. And so it's having you here as part of the process actually is making the process work very smoothly to me. So thank you. That is just an update report. So we're moving now into our staff reports and program updates, air quality management. I think we've heard a lot from you today, but go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I think members of the board, for the record, Francisco Vega, Director of the Air Quality Management Division. I promise to keep this short. You did hear from my staff today regarding the exceptional events demonstration package that we worked on. Again, huge kudos goes to my team, especially the project manager, Matthew McCarthy, on that. Again, a lot of work. You saw the technical abilities that we have within our team. Very impressive. But we throw the word attainment, non-attainment around a lot. And I think the notion is that it's just something that happens. That's not true. A lot of work goes into keeping us in attainment. So just kind of want to mention that really quickly. The other thing that I want to mention was we recently sent out a notification that we are soliciting for members on our Air Pollution Control Hearing Board. We sent out our press release, and we also followed up with a social media post. and then which was also sent to our email subscription list. So again, if you know of anybody who is interested in joining our air pollution control hearing board, please have them fill out that application and submit it to us for consideration. We are looking currently for an at-large position and a registered professional engineer on our board.
One of my encouragements, because if you send it to our city, that particular thing, at our next city council meeting, at the beginning, we make announcements of those type of things.
Okay.
And I know each of our boards do that. So if you get that to Reno, Washoe, you'll actually get a regional approach to that. And it's, yeah, a lot of the people very interested in being a part of that. So I know that if you do that and you tell my city manager, Christopher asked to send this, he'll pay attention to that.
Thank you for that. I'd be more than happy to answer any other questions though.
Anybody? Dr. Clacking, you got anything, sir?
Nope.
Good.
I'm good on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Moving
yep.
on to community and clinical health services. Mrs. Lisa Littrell.
Sorry, I always have to move us down.
Oh, you're good.
Lisa Lottritz, Division Director for Community and Clinical Health Services. I submitted my reports, but just a couple of updates. Our sexual health team participated in academic detailing training this week, and they will utilize the skills they learned to help educate our providers on sexually transmitted diseases and treatment and testing and everything. Second, our immunization leadership participated in a live Fox News broadcast this morning to discuss the importance of respiratory vaccinations. And they also vaccinated a member of the Fox News team live on the air. So that's exciting. In addition, our immunization team attended the Immunize Nevada's Big Shot event last week, their awards banquet. And the team did receive the 2023 Big Shots Award for the most COVID doses administered in 2022, as well as a Silver Syringe Award for Outstanding Influenza Provider. And lastly, we had our on-site assessment from 330 Partners last week, and now we'll just await their report in January. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to environmental health services. Mr. Robert Fida.
Good afternoon, board. Robert Fida for the record. So I'm going to highlight a few things in the report that I think you all should be aware of. One of the interesting things is, like our staff mentioned earlier, they are a award-winning team. They did do the Crumbine Award. They're actually launching a pilot placarding program for the calendar year of 2024. You guys may be familiar with the Washoe Eats, which shows the inspection results and whatnot. This would be a physical placard at the restaurants. So we're going to solicit feedback from the public and from business owners on these placards. And then the next thing I would like for you guys to be aware of is some of our staff over in the septics and wells have been working with planning to kind of address some affordable housing issues. There's a strong push for detached accessory dwellings. There is some impact with septic and wells. So our staff met with them to kind of try and be preemptive regarding any potential issues that applicants may have on those issues when doing that. And lastly, an update about the drone program. We are in the process of submitting for the certificate of authorization. We're also having to submit a Part 137 license. So this is the agricultural piece for actually doing the larviciding. So we're actually in the process of that at this point. So that is all I have. So I'll open it up for any questions if you have any.
I just have a question out of curiosity. Have we ever had placards? I've been here 25 years. I don't remember seeing those around town.
I've seen some old ones when I went around.
So they were in place at one point and
How far out? I couldn't tell you.
okay.
I just have one thought for you when it comes to drones. I just learned yesterday that UNR is their actual area, their chair of what they do over there with drones and IT is the new state director now.
Oh,
And his name's Richard, and I'll get you the information, so remind me. But he wants to meet you.
sounds good.
Epidemiology, man, I tell you what, it's been a long meeting, and public health preparedness. Dr. Nancy Dow. Epidemiology, there you go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is Nancy Dow, Division Director of Epidemiology and Public Health Preparedness. You have my report, nothing to change from that, but just a few highlights and updates. Currently, influenza-like illness activities are continuing to increase for the past month. Flu hospitalizations remain elevated and increasing nationally. The number of RSVs has certainly been increasing quite noticeably from week to week. Above the numbers seen during the 21 to 22 season now, but not quite at the extreme heights of the 2022 to 23 season. As you remember, last season was very extreme. Our dominant strain remains flu A and mostly H1N1. This is similarly reflected nationally in terms of the dominant strain seen right now. And of course, all reports published every Friday from our team during the flu season are posted on our website for public access as well. Outbreak numbers in the month of November jumped up from the month of October with 12 outbreaks opened and mostly respiratory. And since November, we're starting to see RSV outbreaks opened in daycare and preschool facilities. As a reminder, RSV vaccines are available for those at higher risk. This is for those who are 60 and older, and the monoclonal antibody of nirsevimab is recommended for infants entering their first season or those at severe risk entering their second season. Our Vaccines for Children program at the clinic also offers nirsevimab for kids under or not insured. And then finally, for situational awareness, our EpiNews distribution this month, one issue published was the dissemination of a health alert network from the CDC to bring awareness to the Clade 1 Mpox outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This serves to remind clinicians mostly to notify public health if they have a patient with Mpox-like symptoms with recent travel to the DRC and submission of specimens for testing. So Clade 2B is the circulating Mpox clade during the 2022 to 23 global outbreak. Clade 1 causes actually more severe disease and higher mortality than Clade 2. And at this time, Clade 1 Mpox have not yet been reported in the US. Washoe County have not had any new cases of Mpox since the end of October 2022, but cases still do get reported around the US. So medical countermeasures and vaccines used during the Clade 2 Mpox outbreak in the US are expected to have cross protection for Clade 1 infections. So that's all I have for updates. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just want to say, I saw a commercial on Mpox on TV actually the other day. I didn't even know what it, truthfully, I was trying to figure out what it was a little bit. So it's interesting to hear that because I don't think I've heard that since back in it's been a while. So
Yeah,
had to
I mean,
figure out.
cases are still popping up here and they're just not in Washoe County, so which is good.
Oh, it's great, actually. Well, it's your fault that it's going well. So thanks for keeping it all away. So good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
District Health Officer, Kevin Dick.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, thank you all for the amendment on my contract earlier today. Very much appreciate that. We have a COVID-19 documentary that we submitted to American Public Health Association for screening at their conference, and they did select our documentary. So it's posted on YouTube. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, I really encourage you to do so. It's about 20 minutes. I want to give a shout out to Scott Oxerart. He recognized within the first few months of the pandemic that we had something pretty historic going on. We had a contract with a video company, Studio 80 or 88 Studios, that was to film what all of our divisions do so we could post that on the website. Well, they got air quality done and now none of our divisions are doing what they do anymore. So we pivoted with that funding for them, and they did some interviews. I thought we were going to have some DVRs that sat in a shoebox for 50 years and then somebody would pull them out, but they really did a nice job of packaging that and telling the story about the COVID response in Washoe County. Then I also provided you with a nice write-up that Dr. Dow did on our academic health department partnership with UNR School of Public Health. Give you an update with that. And the reason that I missed the strategic planning retreat was that I went with Rob Fida back to the the Bloomberg American Health Summit at Johns Hopkins, and I was coming back on United instead of Southwest, so I didn't make it and Rob did. But it's really an incredible project that they have going on. They received a $300 million endowment from the Mike Bloomberg Foundation on the 100th anniversary of their school. And from that, they are able to support 17 faculty on endowments, and they have 329 fellows across the country from over 200 different organizations. And they actually paid for me to come back and for Rob as well, because they want to have the organizations where their fellows are also involved with their initiative. What's neat about it is there are a lot of people that aren't from public health agencies, but they're from different agencies or businesses even that connect with public health and are part of the overall public health network. And they, as fellows, connect them with their faculty and research and look for promising areas to be promoting public health policy. And so I provided you with a few examples of those things. One of the ones that really struck me was research that they've done around where do you find the space for doing more walkability, bikeability, multimodal transport. And what they found is that smaller traffic lanes are actually safer than wider traffic lanes, and that you can improve safety and make space for bigger sidewalks, bike lanes, that type of stuff, just by looking at your existing infrastructure and readjusting the way it goes. So I think it was a worthwhile use of my time. I regretted not being at the retreat. I did watch you streaming, and but I have talked about this with the Dean, Muga Akpinar, over at the School of Public Health, and we're going to be having further discussions next month. While they certainly don't have $300 million that they're sitting on, I think there's some things that we could learn from that we could do locally. So just wanted to explain my absence.
That's cool. Well, we missed you, but your team rocked it, so you're fine.
And this is going to be our last meeting of the year, so I just wanted to wish everybody a safe and happy and joyful holiday season.
I do want to point out and thank, one of the things that just the way the time works is that initially Kevin was asking to be done by the beginning of March, but he will linger and be with us a little longer to make sure we can do the process correctly. So if anybody's wondering, I don't know if we eventually have to officially vote on that or how that works, but just know that that process is going to be the end of March instead of the beginning. So with that said, is there any board comments? Okay. Thank you all so much, and many blessings to you this end of this year and the beginning of new. We're adjourned.